Okay, here we are. We're starting to do the cuts for the Peace and Love vest from period 3. So we're going to look at the what we have for piece 1 right here. Piece 1 is a rectangle, and it has a base of 23 and a height of 27. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to make a 27-inch line right here, and I think because this will probably be part of the hem anyway, it's okay to keep the edge. I'm just going to make a little mark right there. I'm going to come 23 inches in. And it doesn't matter which one you do first. Here we are at 23 inches. Trying to make this line nice and good. Trying to make sure that it's 90 degrees to the edge. And then we come in and do the other 27. And if I did this correctly, it should be about 27 to the edge, which it basically is. It's pretty close to 27. It's definitely close enough. Remember, fabric is flexible, so perfect measurements are not that big a deal. All right, so I'm cutting out this rectangle to be piece 1. It's really simple. By the way, if you have a rotary cutters are great. My rotary cutter needs a new blade, that's why I'm using scissors, but if you use good scissors, it's not that hard. And you try to cut a straight line, but the line does not have to be perfect because nobody will ever see the edge. Everything gets folded over when you sew anyway, so nobody will ever see the edge. Therefore, the line doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be pretty good. Alright, so this is piece 1. Now the best way, the simplest way to get piece 2 is to trace piece 1 onto the fabric that you already have. That way I don't have to do the measurements twice, I just do them once and I'm done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put piece 1 that I have right here, I'm going to overlay it. Make sure that everything's straight and lined up. And what I do is I'm just going to mark this corner. Because if I mark this corner, and I'll mark this one and this one, then I can make my lines to represent the edges of the rectangle. So all of this is really easy work. It's very straightforward. There's really only a tiny bit of thinking involved. So there we go. So here's going to be piece 2. And now, once I've got piece 2, I can cut out piece 2. And it's all really pretty obvious. The part that gets a little more complicated is going to be the head hole. So the way we're going to make the head hole is we're going to use a compass. So make sure you have a compass with you. And again, we decided that the diameter of the head hole is going to be 8. So the radius of the head hole has to be half of the diameter. So the radius of the head hole is going to be 4. So here we go. Here's piece 2. So we've got piece 2, we've got piece 1. On this one there is no top and no bottom because the words face both directions, so it doesn't actually matter. But here's what you do. You take piece 1 and piece 2. Make sure that the good side is down. You want to be going on the back side because the back side, it doesn't matter on the back side if you are a little bit off. You're going to take your compass. And what we say is that the compass has to be the same as the radius. So if the diameter is 8, then the radius is 4. So we're going to do a 4-inch radius. I'm going to make this be the front side and this be the back side. So if you look at a person, my head is not directly on top of my shoulders. It is slightly forward. For that reason, the circle for the head hole needs to be more on the front side and less on the back side. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this in half. This is a really simple way of finding the center. Does that make sense? Right where I put that crease, that's where the center of this piece is. I'm going to come in about 2 inches here so that the front side gets the majority of the circle and the back side gets less of the circle. And then I'm going to trace my circle onto both pieces. And once I've got that circle there, nice and good, then I can cut it out. I think it's a good idea, because you really want to see what you've got, to reinforce your line a little bit, if it helps. Because if you lose it, you could have a little bit of trouble. So I'm reinforcing my line a little bit to help it be a little easier to cut. There we go. I can see it well enough to cut it out. The circles can be a little bit difficult to cut. That's why you want to make sure you can see your line good enough. You definitely don't want to lose your line anywhere. There we go. That's piece 1. Here's piece 2. Okay, so now we've got our little head hole. The last part we've got to do is to remove the triangles. So let's go back to our diagram. And look at what we have in our diagram here. We're cutting out these triangles that are 3 inches wide and 7 inches long. They're all 4 going to be congruent. So they're pretty easy to measure and pretty easy to cut. What you do is you go to the edge. You measure 3 inches in and 7 inches down. So 7 inches down is to right here. You come from here, you connect to there, and you've got your triangle. We'll do the same thing on all 4, well, the top corners of both pieces. So there's 3 inches there and 7 inches here. And we go from 3 inches to 7 inches. And that is the section that we're going to cut off. We'll do the same thing on this piece. So we go 3 inches in from the edge and 7 inches down. So the 7 is to here. And we got that triangle, and we'll do the same thing here. 3 inches here and 7 inches here. And we come from here, and all these triangles should be congruent. They should be 3 inches by 7 inches right triangles. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to cut them off, and we're going to be very close to being finished, believe it or not, with our vest. Got that. That one's out. I'll go with these ones now. Alright, so now let's get a good look at the basic shape of our vest. Here's the back of it. And on top of the back, we're going to put the front. And that's the basic shape. The only other cut we're going to do is a very important cut. The thing that makes it from being a tank top to a vest is you got to cut the center piece, the front piece, exactly in half down the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it in half as well as I can. I'm going to mark this point right here and this point down here. I'm going to take the ruler and make sure to make a straight line before I cut so that I end up with a really correct vest. And this particular vest is going to have buttons. So it's going to be a button-up vest. So this is the last cut we're going to do, and then all that's going to be left is to sew it together. Alright, so thanks for staying with me, and we'll sew the vest together for the next video, and that will be that. Thanks a lot. Bye.